appreciate and contemplate the holy names so much more and their importance in our lives. To begin with, we will have Kirtan, of course, and then we will continue with our discussion. Namo Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nami Namo Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prestaya Bhutale Srimati Bhakti Vedanta Swami Nami Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Vastasya Veshatarine Namaste Saraswati Devi Gauravani Pracharine Nirvishesha Sunyavadi Vastasya Veshatarine Jaya Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaura Bhaktivinoda Hare Krishna Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Hare Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna Krishna Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama Rama Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare 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 Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Hari Bol, Nitya Gaura, Hari Bol, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, 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 Jaya Jaya Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Prabhupada, Prabhupada, Jaya Jaya Prabhupada. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Devi Jai, Krishna Sai Gaura Hare Ki Jai, Shri Prabhupada Ki Jai, Krishna Sai Gaura Nande Hare. So again, thank you all so much for joining us this evening as we discuss the glories of the Holy Name in this very special week called World Holy Name Week. This week is set aside for us to appreciate the Holy Name and its extraordinary mercy to us, especially in the age of Kali Yuga. So we will begin with prayers to our teachers for their mercy and their blessing, for us to have the right understanding about the glories of the Holy Name today. Om Jnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Yena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha Shri Chaitanya Manobhishtam Shtapitam Yena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kadamahyam Dadati Swapadantitam Nama Om Vishnu Padaya Krishna Prashtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swamini Iti Namini Namaste Saraswati Deve Gauravani Pacharini Nirvishesha Shunyavari Paschatya Deshatarini. And I also pray for all your blessings to be justice to the staff, again, so that we can glorify the holy name in the special World Holy Name Week. So this observance of World Holy Name Week is going to increase our consciousness of the holy name and appreciation for the holy name in our lives. These holy names of Krishna have become more accessible in the age of Kali Yuga, when we need that mercy so much. It is for our spiritual advancement as well as the spiritual advancement of others. So how is this accomplished? Indirectly, when we chant the holy names of the Lord and become better devotees, overcoming our negative tendencies and developing spiritual qualities actually on the level of the demigods, as the Srimad Bhagavatam promises, then we also benefit society. We benefit others by our presence. This is how we can indirectly benefit other living entities through our chanting. But how we can directly benefit them is by chanting or singing the holy names of the Lord loudly in public, called Harinam, Sankirtan. In this way, all living entities who hear the holy names in the Harinam are benefited, whether they're human or not. We get this vital information from Srila Haridas Thakur, the renowned and foremost teacher of the holy names in this age, who tells Krishna himself um, that the holy names can deliver anyone or anything who hears them. So Krishna um, took the position of his own devotee, named Lord Chaitanya, and like any devotee, he was concerned about all the living beings, how everyone would be able to make advancements in this age. And so Haridas Thakur instructed him in this way. So Krishna, of course, is extremely pleased when we make this effort, a special effort, to give the holy names to all living beings. In the 14th chapter of Bhagavad Gita, Krishna says, Aham Bija Pradaha Pita. He is the seed-giving father of all living entities. And so, if his living entities, the parts and parcels of his children are struggling in this material world, he wants to see them delivered. The analogy we could take is that of a father. If his children are having some difficulty in some way and perhaps they don't want to approach him, maybe out of pride, maybe out of ignorance, maybe they've forgotten their relationship with their father because they've been estranged for so long, they may not seek his help if they're in some difficulty, but they may take help from someone who is associated with them, a sibling, for example, who is in a better position. So we who are in a better position by virtue of having the holy names in our lives, if we take the opportunity to give those holy names to other living entities, surely this will please Krishna, the Supreme Father, very much. Of course, then we may ask, we can benefit other living entities who are struggling in this world in many ways. Why in particular the holy name? Well, we can indeed make an effort to try and help our fellow human beings, for example, and to some degree, animals or trees. There are many projects that people do try to endeavor for with a good heart. But can we simultaneously benefit all living beings all at once, like the holy name can? The answer, of course, is no. And even if we can render some services to humanity, to the trees, or to animals, or to the ocean, there's only so much that we can do, and even that is, of course, on a temporary basis. If we alleviate poverty for a while for some section of society, people would still be subject to disease, for example. If we plant trees and improve the environment in one place, we'll still have climate change, for example, in another place. The truth is that the miseries of this world are impossible to eradicate completely. These will always be here because this is the nature of the material world. This is what all the scriptures construct. The foundation of our existence in this world, and therefore the real reason that we are actually here, the modifiable factor that we have, is that we can actually get out of this world, particularly out of the cycle of birth and death. This is the problem that we should be focused on. This is what Srila Prabhupada instructs in numerous places in his wonderful works, particularly in his purport to the third canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, where he says that we're focused so much on these other material problems that don't even have a solution. And we forget that the real problems of life, which the human life is actually meant to solve, is the problem of birth and death. It is birth that brings us into this world of misery, and death, of course, is the greatest misery that any living entity can undergo. And even when death occurs, then birth follows. And so we are trapped in an endless cycle of birth and death, which the Vedic scriptures call samsara. The cycle of samsara is the reason why we're having all these miseries in the first place. So it is essential that we make inquiries as to how we can get out of the cycle of birth and death. And as you can imagine, it's not exactly very easy. There's an analogy we could make in that regard, that if all our hands are tied, all of us are in this material world, we need to be untied by one whose hands are free. So in the same way, to get out of this material world, we need instruction from he who is free of the material nature, of its laws, of the cycle of birth and death. and that's the Supreme Personality of Godhead, right? Krishna. He knows the way out. He is the one who can free us because he is eternally free of the influence of this material world. He is never subject to birth and death, which he, of course, declares in the Bhagavad Gita. Krishna also understands that the way to free us needs to be suitable to us, particularly in this age when we're so beset with miseries and in general as the population we're struggling with our bad policies. So he comes in the most merciful incarnation in order to preach to us the way that will free us from this cycle of samsara effectively. In particular, Krishna takes the mood and the color of his most beloved Srimati Radharani. She is his dearmost consort, as well as the mother of the universe. Krishna himself is already most merciful as our Supreme Father, but who is more merciful than the Father but the Mother? So when we need especially Krishna's mercy in this age, Krishna takes the mood of Srimati Radharani and he comes with her extremely compassionate nature in the form of Lord Sri Krishna Chaitanya. So he is Krishna himself, but with the mood and the color of Srimati Radharani. And he comes with a way that is most accessible for all beings to get out of samsara, that is by chanting his holy name. It is simple, but it is the most effective, the highest way in which to attain freedom from all our miseries. But as Srila Prabhupada says in the Nectar of Devotional class, sometimes we don't appreciate the methods that are simple, that have been made easy by the mercy of the Lord. Sometimes we think that if methods of spiritual realization are more challenging, then there may be something more to it. So if it's more complex yoga or more complex study of the scriptures, we think that it may have more of an effect in delivering us. So this is quite unfortunate because, like you said, if we want to get out of the material world, we must take instructions or we must take guidance from the one who is already free, the one who has created the material world, the one who we want to attain at the end. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu gave us these holy names himself, and he also gave us instructions on how to chant these holy names so that we can achieve the maximum benefit from it. In particular, his instructions are contained in the 8 verses called the Sri Shikshashtakam. But Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's disciples and followers who have appeared since his pastimes on this earth 500 years ago, they've expanded on all the instructions that he gave them so that we can have more and more understanding of how we can effectively chant the holy names in order to attain deliverance from samsara. So to answer those who would question whether just chanting a mantra would be effective, we know that the Vedas are actually full of very powerful mantras. The mantras have been extolled for countless generations in order to achieve many things. The unfortunate thing is that most of the mantras that are available or that are known to mankind are not possible for us to attain any benefit from because mantras must be chanted in a particular way. They need to be chanted by one who is following the rules and regulations for the mantra. They must be chanted along and performed along with rituals that will also aid the chanting of that mantra. And one must achieve initiation into that mantra as well, called Diksha, in order for the power of that mantra to be fully realized. So with all of that necessary, many of us may chant different mantras, but we may not actually get the benefit of those mantras. And a lot of the time, even if we are chanting, the motivation is often wrong as well. Mantras are not meant to be chanted just to get material benefits from it. We could say that just thinking about what we could get in this life and not considering how we would need to be benefited for eternity, sort of like eating for today and not thinking about what's going to happen tomorrow. Eternity is actually stretching before us. And most, if not all, living entities in this Kali Yuga have no idea what is going to happen to them after this life. This is what causes such an extreme fear of death. But the holy name is there to liberate us from this material cycle of birth and death, but also to deliver us into our eternal home, the spiritual world, where Lord Krishna resides with all his associates. This is the place that our souls came from, and this is the place that our souls are longing to be. So the holy name can help us to get out of this material world once and for all, break the cycle of birth and death, but also the holy name helps us to achieve the spiritual world, which is where we belong. Um, the holy names are actually so merciful to us because even though we're not qualified to actually chant many or not all the mantras that are actually given to us by the scriptures, the holy names actually seem to do the work for us. The holy names allow us to chant them even when we're not qualified, and the holy names purify us to become qualified to chant. How is this possible? Because Krishna is his name. When we chant Krishna's holy name, he is right there, whether we realize it or not. As Srila Prabhupada said, it's like taking a medicine. We may not be aware that the medicine is working, but it's definitely working, and we feel the effects in time. So by chanting the holy names of Krishna, he is there with us. He is purifying us to the point where we'll be able to chant the holy name perfectly and attain the results of that perfect chanting, the realization of being in Krishna's wonderful transcendental association. So not only have these holy names become accessible to all of us, no matter where we are from in the world, no matter what our social or educational background, no matter who we are, um, the holy names are also, as we said, accessible to all other beings. When we chant the holy names loudly on Sankirtan, the trees, the insects, the fish, the beasts, the birds, everything benefits as well. Krishna, the loving Father, is assuring every being in this age of Kali Yuga that they can be liberated from all of their sufferings. So this is the great mercy of the holy name that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has given us. So this brings us to the elm tree. Trees are very sacred in Vedic culture. Um, the Tamal tree reminds Srimati Radharani, our Supreme Mother, of Krishna because of its dark color. The Kadamba tree reminds Krishna of Srimati Radharani because of its beautiful yellow golden flowers. The banyan tree is of course very special. Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita that of all trees he is the banyan tree. The banyan tree in Vrindavan called Vamsidas is the tree that Krishna calls the gopis playing his flute. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu appeared under a neem tree, and Lord Nityananda appeared under a banyan tree. Many other significant events in Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's pastimes 500 years ago happened in relation to trees. He first saw Krishna at the Kashala under a tree, and he took sannyas under a tree. Sannyas means that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu left his family life and became an itinerant preacher. He took the holy names throughout India, and this was part of his mission to make sure that all living entities had access to it. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu also sat under a tamarind tree in Vrindavan called Imritala, and this tree is also special because Srimati Radharani saw Krishna change his color to golden under that tree. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu preached the holy names throughout India, but he also made a very important prediction about those holy names spreading throughout the world. That prediction is recorded in the Chaitanya Bhagavat. Siddhavite Achriyata Nagaradi Gram Sarvatra Prachara Haive Molana. In every town and village throughout the world, the chanting of my holy name will be heard. It is described in another biography of Lord Chaitanya, called Chaitanya Charitamrita, that Lord Chaitanya is like a gardener. So we carry this motif of the sacred tree even further, because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has sown the seed of the holy name, this transcendental seed that came from the spiritual world to the material world, to grow not just in India where Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was preaching, but throughout the world. How would this happen? Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu himself says in another of his biographies, Chaitanya Mangala, Chanting of the name and qualities of Krishna gives the energy to the Vaishnavas. I will reveal these activities of pure devotional service unto my song. In this way, I will destroy all the sins in Kali Yuga. So all of you, my associates, go ahead and take birth on the earthly planet before my advent, and don't remain behind. Taking the sharp sword of Nama Sankirtan, I will root out and destroy the demoniac mentality in the hearts of all the conditioned souls. And if some sinful people escape and giving up Dharma go to far off countries, my Senapati Bhakta will go there to deliver them. Senapati Bhakta, the commander-in-chief of the Vaishnavas, the great general, is Srila Prabhupada himself, who is the modern-day representative of Lord Chaitanya, and who also appeared under a tree, following the example of the Lord, a jackfruit tree, in the case of Srila Prabhupada. Srila Prabhupada fulfilled to the prediction of Lord Chaitanya that the holy names would spread throughout the world. In particular, Lord Chaitanya wanted this loud chanting, the Sankirtan movement to spread throughout the world. Lord Chaitanya, we said, ensured that that happened himself, because he spread the holy names himself in India. In fact, my very learned and talented Bengali-born music teacher once told me that before Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's appearance, the chanting of Lord Krishna's names was heard particularly in the courts and other aristocratic settings. Kirtan was not the preserve of the ordinary people. It was performed by very highly skilled musicians, for the rich, those who could um, enjoy it, could afford to enjoy it. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu made sure that the holy names would be accessible to all. He took this ancient art of chanting, um, an art that is described in the supplements to the Vedas that were given by Lord Brahma and that were given to Brahma by the Lord himself, along with his holy names, which are also in the Vedas and again given by the Lord himself, actually from his fruit. And he infused it with the pure love of Srimati Radharani that he was carrying in his special form as Lord Chaitanya. And he gave this to everyone in all the towns and villages that he went to, that all his associates went to. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu um, could distribute this holy name, which is actually coming from his spiritual world, the elements of which were all given by him to the material world. Even in his incarnation as Lord Chaitanya, the Lord was qualified as a Brahmin. He was completely well versed in all the Vedic scriptures. And he was an expert Sanskrit grammarian and logician. He was actually the best Sanskrit scholar of the land. So he was not only highly qualified to distribute the holy names, knowledge of the holy names. The Lord took initiation from a pure devotee named Srila Ishvara Puri in the place called Gaya. After taking initiation, Lord Chaitanya came to Navadvip, the place of his appearance, completely intoxicated with love of God because of his pure chanting. When one is chanting the holy names in a pure way, one comes directly into the transcendental association of the Lord. And the result is the most extraordinary ecstasy. And this is what Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was experiencing. He shared this with his associates, and he commanded them to spread this holy name to everyone who be with me. And so this land of Navadvip was resounding with the holy name of the Lord. This, of course, did raise the envy of many of the local people, and the Lord and his associates faced some challenges. The Lord took one of those challenges as an opportunity to actually take sannyas, as you mentioned, the renounced order of life. And then he took the holy names himself across the subcontinent and stirred love of God in the hearts of everyone who saw him ecstatically dancing and chanting. So this is the preserve of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. He can give us the religious principles for the age that will help us get rid of all of our bad qualities and develop all the good qualities so that we can actually free ourselves of this material world and attain to. This is what the Lord promises in Bhagavad Gita. Yeah. There's a very famous verse, chapter 4, text 8, where the Lord says, Paripranaya sadhunam vinashaya cha dushkitam dharma samstapanatai sambhavami yuge yuge. He says that to deliver the pious and annihilate the miscreant, as well as to establish the principles of religion, he appears millennium after millennium. So as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, he was coming to do the same. But if we consider how much more fallen we are in this age, if he were to destroy the miscreants as he had done in his form as Lord Krishna, he'd probably only be destroying. And there wouldn't be much good to actually protect what we speak of meaning to teach the principles of religion. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, of course, being the all-merciful Supreme Personality of Godhead, he gave us the highest religious principles in his holy name. What can be higher than Krishna himself? As we said, Krishna is his holy name. So Krishna, through these holy names, is the way that those who are good can become better in their pursuit of spiritual practices, and those who are bad can actually be purified of those practices rather than being killed, and as we said, become um, as good as those who are good. So this is the divine arrangement of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Only through His mercy do we have a situation that the religious principles of this age are accessible to anyone, even if they're of a demoniac mentality, even if they're not in the human species. Right? The holy name wants everyone. The holy name wants you. This is through Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu spread the holy names throughout India, and then Srila Prabhupada took these holy names throughout the world. With almost no material possession and having limitless faith in those holy names, Srila Prabhupada left um, India and he traveled to the West. And of course, he was preaching all along the way and preaching when he arrived there, the message of the holy name. The anniversary of that arrival in the United States was celebrated a few days ago on the 17th of September. It's been 58 years since Srila Prabhupada arrived in the Western world. But the real moment that the holy name um, actually took root in Sankirtan was the day that Srila Prabhupada began chanting under the elm tree. So this sacred elm tree is situated in the United States. It's of no less reverence than the neem tree that Lord Chaitanya was um, born under or appeared under, that the jackfruit tree um, that Srila Prabhupada appeared under, or even the Bodhi tree that Lord Buddha appeared under. Um, we know that the Bodhi tree also played an important role in Lord Buddha's enlightenment. This elm tree stands in a public space called Tompkins Square Park in New York City. This park is well known for containing many majestic elm trees, and although there's a threat of destruction by a certain pest, by the divine arrangements of the Lord, um, this special tree that Srila Prabhupada chanted under, this tree is still standing. And it has been preserved by the city of New York um, as a historic monument. And there's a plaque there that we will read the contents of. One of Tompkins Square Park's most prominent features is its collection of venerable American elms, and the scientific name is Ulmus americanus. One elm in particular, located next to the semicircular arrangement of benches in the park center, is important to adherents of the Hare Krishna religion. After coming to the United States in September 1965, A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, 1896 to 1927, the Indian spiritual leader, founded the International Society for Krishna Consciousness in New York. He worked from a storefront on nearby Second Avenue that he used as the Society's American headquarters. Prabhupada and his disciples gathered in Tompkins Square Park in the fall of 1966 to introduce the East Village to the group's distinctive 16-word mantra, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. On October 9, 1966, Prabhupada and his followers sat beneath this tree and held the first outdoor chanting session outside of India. Participants chanted for 2 hours as they danced and played cymbals, tambourines, and other percussive instruments. The event is recognized as the founding of the Hare Krishna religion in the United States. Prabhupada's diverse group that day included beat poet Allen Ginsberg, 1926 to 1997. Krishna adherents continue to return to the tree to acknowledge its significance. So we can see that this tree is very, very special. In fact, this plahak is still causing all the visitors to that tree to read and to say the holy name right up to this day. So this moment that Srila Prabhupada went to chant under this palm tree was defining in the history of the world. They actually chanted for a lot more than 2 hours, according to Srila Prabhupada's official biography, the Srila Prabhupada Lilamrita. They chanted for what seemed like forever. It was quite an amazing recount of this moment in the book. And so we understand that the mantra that Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had so carefully brought from the spiritual world, that was meant for the deliverance of the material world, this mantra had now appeared in the Sankirtan form in the West as Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu had desired. The holy name of Krishna is a person, as much as Lord Chaitanya is a person, as much as Lord Nityananda is a person, Lord Nityananda is Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu's brother, as much as Srila Prabhupada is a person. And the holy name had chosen to appear in his Sankirtan form under this tree as the sacred personality that appeared under sacred tree as well. So this moment in 1966 was the beginning of a transcendental fire that would spread across the world, and the holy name, the Sankirtan of the holy name in particular, went to every continent from New York City, and it's still spreading throughout the world today. Again, this is because Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu desired that the holy name will spread to every town and village, as we heard from his prediction. And so Lord Chaitanya wants us to. He wants us to become free of our material misery, and he wants us to help others become free also. Because what do you do when you have something that's particularly wonderful? You share it with others. The scriptures describe that a brahmana, a spiritually elevated person, is selfless, is merciful, is compassionate, whereas someone who is materialistic is kripana or miserly, who want to keep everything to themselves. So we should want to share this most wonderful holy name with the world. And in that regard, there's a very interesting history that we can learn from. There was a great devotee, spiritual teacher, and powerful preacher named Sripad Ramanuja Acharya. He belonged to another chain of disciplic succession called the Sri Sampradaya, the chain of disciplic succession that we come to via Srila Prabhupada, is known as the Brahma Madhva Gaudiya Sampradaya. All these chains of disciplic succession are authorized because they come from Krishna. All knowledge about Krishna, especially his holy name, should come from representatives of Krishna. In this way, the proper understanding of the spiritual teachings of the Lord and the holy name can be delivered to those who hear it. So Sripad Ramanujacharya came in a line of disciplic succession, and he achieved a mantra, a Diksha mantra from his spiritual master because of his devotional practices. When his spiritual master initiated him with the mantra, he told him that he could not repeat it to others. We've discussed this already, that mantras are not usually meant to be shared with everyone, since not everyone is qualified enough to achieve the benefit of those mantras. Of course, the exception is the Maha Mantra. Although it is the greatest mantra, it's also been made most accessible by Lord Chaitanya. When Sripad Ramanujacharya heard from his spiritual master that he could not share the mantra that he had been given with others, he was quite concerned. This mantra could afford liberation. How could he not share it with the suffering living entities? So, contemplating on this very deeply, he decided that he would share it. And he went up to a tower of the temple, which is quite tall, and he declared the mantra to all who would be able to hear it. So upon finding out that his disciple had defied him and had declared the mantra to all, his first master was furious. And he went to his disciple and told him that you would actually go to hell because of this offense of disregarding my instructions. And Sripad Ramanujacharya told him that he would go to hell and face that punishment because he was happy that all other living entities would be spared from that place. So understanding his great compassion, his spiritual master forgave him. So we don't have that problem. We don't have to keep our mantra secret. We can share it with everybody, and we should take that opportunity because it pleases the Lord so very much. He wants that His holy name is spread all over the world and by all living entities for their own benefit. Chanting Hare Krishna is the highest welfare work. It's the greatest duty that we can perform. It is the most important religious activity. It's the only hope for humanity. His holy name has descended for the benefit of all, and we should try to do our part to make sure that all can get access to it. That's what Srila Prabhupada wants to do. He wants you to benefit, and he wants you to benefit the world, to assist him, like he assists Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu in his great mission of saving all the living entities of Kali Yuga. So, say yes. Srila Prabhupada ki jai. Shri Nam Prabhu ki jai. Shri Harinam Sankirtan Yajna ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaura Hari ki jai. Shri Shri Jagannath Baladev Subhadra Maharani ki jai. Shri Radha Radhanath ki jai. Shri Nitai Gaura Hari ki jai. Thank you all so much for your kind attention this evening. Are there any questions or comments or any points that should be clarified?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes.
Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, Prabhu, I can hear you.
Two things. One is that the sound was a problem with the sound today, but I couldn't hear you very well. I don't know what happened, but the sound wasn't very well. My question is that we mentioned about we are now in this age of the Kali Yoga, and yeah, and there's lots of things happening in this world, and as you said, by chanting we pray and so forth. Now, what is this span? What is this period of Kali Yoga? How long does it last? When it's going to end? Knowing all the trials and tribulations that we're going through, how far down the line is going? When would the next stage kick in?
So it's actually declared that the age of Kali lasts for 432,000 years. That's its entire duration. And we've already been to about 5,000 years of that. So there's technically another 427 years to go before the end of this cycle. And when Kali Yuga ends, the next stage is Satya Yuga. So the four ages are rotating on a cyclical basis. Satya Yuga is first, Treta Yuga is second, Dwapara Yuga is third, and Kali Yuga is fourth. So After Kali Yuga ends, then Satya Yuga begins. So that's usually what happens. But by the mercy of Lord Chaitanya, something quite extraordinary is happening in this Kali Yuga. In this Kali Yuga, there will be a period of the golden age. The Satya Yuga will actually appear within this Kali Yuga. That 10,000 year period of Satya Yuga has actually started from the time of Lord Chaitanya's appearance 500 years ago. So it means that in this time, the teachings of the Vedas, which are all directed towards devotional service to Krishna, those teachings will be revived. Devotional service will flourish. And this is all the effect of the holy name of Krishna. So for the next 10,000 years, living entities will have the opportunity to free themselves of this material world, free themselves of the cycle of birth and death, and go back to Krishna. After that, the full horrors of Kali Yuga will come to be, and this is, of course, quite an unpleasant reality. So we are advised to take the opportunity that the holy name affords us, of getting free of the cycle of birth and death, so that we don't have to come back and experience the degradation of Kali Yuga. Is that okay for you?
Yeah, yes, thanks, man. I said, as the sound was a bit distorted, you were mentioning about this the elm tree in the park. What was the name of the park? Was it Thompson Park or Crompton Park? What's the name of the park?
Thompson
Thompson
Square
T.
Park. Thompson
Start with the
Square
T.
Park. Yeah, I'll put it into the chat.
Okay.
Thompson Square Park.
Because the sound is very distorted, you can hardly hear you.
Thompson Square. This is in New York.
Okay, Tompkins, thanks.
So I was
Uh,
actually hoping to, hoping for us to share there's a video of Srila Prabhupada having kirtan in the past, but we're having some technical problems with posting that video, so I might have to share the link on the Facebook page. I can share it to this chat now. I don't know if I can have to share the screen. Um, Were able to play? No.
no. Okay, don't worry. It's okay, fine.
Yeah.
So,
So we will share the link. Watch the video this week. Are there any other questions or comments? If not, we will have some feedback.